Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to review the 23rd episode of Teen Mom OG. So let's jump right into it. The episode quickly starts off with Catelynn and Tyler talking about how they plan to invite all of the girls, minus Farrah, to Puerto Rico for a birthday getaway for Kate. And then we switch on over to the South where Maci and Taylor are talking about getting the invitation from Catelynn. And Maci says that only the important people on the show are invited, which is kind of funny because it's more like only the people who sit on couches, breed, and wine all day going, but I digress. It seems like things are still going well for Farrah, her wig, and her mom, Deborah, as they smile their way through lunch, and Farrah reveals that she's been asked to sit on an entrepreneur panel to speak about being a businesswoman over at South by Southwest, which is one of the world's biggest festivals, and it's also something that the most important people on Teen Mom OG will probably never get to do. Farrah also reveals that her ex-boyfriend, friends with benefits, whatever, Simon, tried to call her to get together for lunch, but she's not having it. She's one of those rip the band-aid off, cut off contact kind of girls, and she says that her ability to handle a breakup really well is thanks in a large part to the sudden loss of her ex-boyfriend Derek, to death. And she says that when you realize that you can never see someone again, like even if you want to, you handle breakups completely different from anyone else, and that really made me feel sad and sympathetic for her. Over at Amber's rental home, she and Matt get into this really weird fight over the dog scratching at the backyard door. She just asked Matt to kind of like scare the dog out of like breaking their, the screen door and stuff like that, and he acts like a total asshole to her about it. And honestly, I don't understand how you can sit up in someone's home, mooch off of them, bring literally nothing to the table, not even looks at the very least, and behave like such an asshole. Back in Michigan, Butch makes another cameo on the show when he shows up at the house to babysit Nova throughout the duration of Catelynn and Tyler's trip to Puerto Rico, and alarm bells did nothing but shoot off in my head because Butch literally just relapsed on like his coke addiction. He could literally just drop dead of an overdose at any second, and Carly would be home alone with like these big ass dogs, chickens, cows, geese, swans, whatever else other animals these people have. Like, they really did not think this thing through. And it's just, they're constantly crying about how they did the best thing for Carly by giving her up for adoption because they couldn't trust her around like Catelynn and Tyler's parents, but Butch clearly hasn't changed, and April doesn't seem to have changed either. So what made them even think they were responsible enough to have Nova in the first place? And now they're talking about having other kids in the future. These two just frustrate me so much. The gang makes it over to Puerto Rico when Catelynn and Tyler sit down for like a dinner or whatever it is with each other, and Kate makes a lot of really odd and ignorant statements about like Spanish culture. For example, she says she should have been born Spanish because she loves black beans, quesadillas, and Spanish men. It was really reminiscent of something Kale from Teen Mom 2 might say. I'm not anti-tattoo at all, but I am firmly anti-ugly tattoos, and this gang of people all have the ugliest tattoos I've ever seen in my life. Teen Mom 2 stars aside, like this episode where they were all stripped down and showing off their tattoos because they were in hot weather, they were just so ugly. I literally did not know where to look half the episode. So the gang all conglomerates at a gazebo down there, and the conversation quickly gets to the topic of postpartum depression, which we all know Catelynn suffered from severely when she had her daughter Nova. And Maci actually surprised us by opening up about her own battle with it, and she said that she had it with Jade because she was her first child after Bentley, and it was just her and Bentley for so many years that she was scared that she wouldn't be able to love Jade in the same way that she loved Bentley. Catelynn and Tyler then bring up how they kind of battled it with both of their children, not just Nova actually. They battled it with Carly as well, but in that reason, it was because they had given her up for adoption and didn't really get to spend that much time with her. In fact, Catelynn and Tyler both said that they were proud of their decision to give up Carly for adoption because they wouldn't have been able to raise her in the environment that they were in. Between Catelynn's mom, April, who was a raging alcoholic, who also babysits Nova on a regular basis, sometimes even up to 4 or 5 times a week, and Tyler's dad, Butch, who just so happens to be watching Nova back home while they talk about how it's great that they got Carly away from these people. Anyone else seeing the glaring irony over here? The conversation proves to be a bit too much for Catelynn, who walks off from the crowd and decides to just, take a calming walk along the beach alone. Back in Texas, Farrah checks up on her yogurt shop or whatever it is, and her dad is over there watching it for her and working it probably for free, and they have a really disgusting exchange, 100% on Farrah's end. She just berated him and was nothing but rude to him as soon as she walked on in there, and I just don't even really want to get into that. It's just so disgusting the way she speaks to people. By the water, Catelynn and Amber have a little bit of a chat about marriage, and as usual, Amber is having extreme cold feet about saying I do to Matt, and Catelynn tries to give her some advice about her own marriage to Tyler. And she says that, yeah, it was hard at first calling off the wedding because of a runaway groom, but it was the best decision for them ultimately because it did bring them closer together, and they did have time to really, ponder whether or not their love could survive a marriage. Amber again brings up how all of Matt's lies unraveling in front of the whole world have really scared her off of trusting him and wanting to marry him. And then she talks about her breakup from her baby daddy Gary, and it was really troubling the way she spoke about it because she seemed to have taken zero responsibility for it. She said that the reason they broke up after 7 years of dating was because he changed as a person. And I was sitting there like, Amber, really? You guys broke up because he changed as a person? Not because you almost rendered him deaf when you punched him in the ear? Not because you tried to push him downstairs multiple times? Not because of all the times you've punched him in the face in front of people, including your daughter and your father? Not, your physical abuse had nothing to do with this. Gary just changed as a person and it was over. Okay, bitch. Whatever helps you sleep well at night. Back in Austin, we get to see a really cute interview between Farrah and someone from South by Southwest where she talks about her journey as a businesswoman. And I thought it was a really important thing to show on MTV that yes, you can have a baby and continue on to make your dreams come true. I thought she was really awkward and shy throughout the interview, and it was really endearing, especially when afterwards her true personality shone when she was interacting with a random guest at the event. She was really cute and bubbly and fun, and we do see a lot of that with her friend Paola as well. So I'm not a Farrah fan by any stretch of the imagination. I can't stand the chick, but it seems like she might actually be a really nice person beneath all of those layers of awfulness. There's a scene I really want to get you guys' opinion on. Remember how towards the end of the vacation, Amber brings up her dad's struggle with alcoholism and how losing him affected her life? Matt wound up mentioning that one of his parents too was an alcoholic, and I'm wondering, you guys, whether or not that's true or if that's another psychopathic, sociopathic technique where you try to mirror your victim's life. Remember, he did that with the whole addiction thing. It kind of seems like Matt is lying about having ever struggled with substance abuse, and so I'm wondering if you guys think that he was lying about one of his parents also being an alcoholic. When the girls venture out on their own, they have some wine and just unwind and talk a little bit about their lives when Catelynn asks Maci how Ryan's doing, and before Maci can even answer, Amber cuts her off and says he is fucked up and I can see it, presumably because of her own past with addiction issues. And then Catelynn asks Maci whether or not Ryan is getting treatment for his problem, and then Maci says that he would if only the people around him were not in such deep denial. According to Maci, Ryan's family and his fiancée Mackenzie are all, denying he has a problem because they're afraid of what the public will think about them. And if that's true, then it's really, really sad to think that they would put public opinion over their own loved one's health, especially considering the fact that he has a young child who really needs him in his life. And Maci really digs into them when she says that she's the only one in his life who actually cares about his health. I'm so curious to see how Jen and Larry are going to react to this on the reunion special. And at this point, Maci starts crying and she says that it's so sad to watch Ryan not love himself because he deserves to love himself. And then Amber chimes in saying that he's in love with the drugs. This is the first time drugs are actually point blank period being mentioned, and I guess it is a good thing that the girls were able to have some wine and really unwind, because I don't like when people insinuate things. Just say it outright. You're on a reality show, so just spill the damn beans. So kudos to Amber for dropping that tea for us, and Maci did not actually dispute that. Maci actually finishes Amber's sentence and adds that it's to the point where nothing else matters and that she's sick of cleaning up his mess. She also adds that she's always crying to Taylor about this and how heavy it's weighing on her because she's so scared that one day he's just gonna overdose and die. Maci and Taylor head out for a private walk along the water, and she opens up to him about how it felt really great to unwind with the girls and vent about her frustrations when it comes to taking care of Ryan. Apparently, she feels ready to tell him that he needs to go to rehab because she is so sick of worrying about him and crying about him. And you guys, she looked a good 45 years old here, so you can tell she really is stressing. In one of the last scenes of the episode, Catelynn and Tyler go out and get their little Brokeback Mountain on while the rest of the gang decorates and sets up for her surprise party coming up later in the final scene. As the gang is having dinner, Matt brings up some really disgusting visuals about him and Amber that I will absolutely not repeat. And Maci brings up their wedding, to which Amber, as usual, seems really nervous about, but at the table she calls Matt her soulmate before laying a big wet one on him. Over a toast, Catelynn tells the girls that she is so happy that they've all found some really stand-up men, and I gave her a massive "what the hell, girl, are you talking about?" because it seems like Maci's the only one with a stand-up man, and even then I still side-eye the hell out of Taylor. Do you guys remember his first season on Teen Mom OG? Like, he came across as a massive fame whore, and I've never trusted that guy ever since. Plus, let's not forget all those times that Tyler low-key called Catelynn a lazy heifer, and Matt, he literally goes without saying. But you guys, that is the 23rd episode of the 6th season of Teen Mom OG. I really hope you enjoyed this recap. As usual, leave all your thoughts. I don't know why I am so short of breath today. As usual, leave all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below and we'll chat. You can also like this video, subscribe for more. Feel free to share it with your friends as well, and follow me across social media, where I absolutely love and adore chatting with each and every single one of you. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.